Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Kelsey and today I'm going to guide you through a Yin Yoga practice that you can do in honor of a new moon in Pisces. We can learn a lot about the theme of the upcoming moon cycle if we take a look at the astrological sign that the moon is passing through at the various stages of the month. So if you chose to practice this class, I'm assuming that you are near or under a new moon in Pisces. The moon is said to represent our subconscious awareness, our emotions, our mind. So whenever the moon is in its new phase, it's thought that something new is coming into our awareness. So it could be a new idea, a new intention, some new information. And because this is the beginning of a cycle, things are not totally clear yet. So it's best to use this time to go inward and to just observe what's coming up for you rather than to try to judge it, label it, compartmentalize it. With all of that said, it can still be helpful to kind of get an idea of the theme coming up whenever we look at, again, the astrological sign that the moon's passing through. So for this class, we're looking at the sign of Pisces. When the moon is in Pisces, we are being invited to feel. Pisces is a very intuitive sign, perhaps maybe the most intuitive sign. So our intuition, it can speak to us in the form of a thought or in the form of a word, but often your intuition, my intuition at least, speaks to me in the way of a physical feeling, something that comes from the gut or something that comes from the heart. And so in our practice today, we're going to really work on quieting the mind, the thinking mind, so that we can focus on those intuitive messages that our body sends us. Also, this moon and just the days around it is a really good time to focus on the dreams that you're having and what those dreams might be telling you about what it is that you really want at your core. And it doesn't just have to be about what you want. It can be about what you envision for the future of your community, for the future of the larger society that you're a part of. This is the new moon that happens just before the beginning of a new astrological year. So after this new moon, we'll have an Aries new moon. That's going to get us into a new year cycle. So this moon is a lot about reflecting. It's about letting go of what isn't going to be of service to you or to the greater collective in the next 12 months over the next astrological cycle. And then calling in what we do need for support, for strength. And so with all of that said, for our asana practice today, we're doing Yin Yoga poses, and we're going to be focusing first of all on putting some pressure here at the space between the eyebrows, the intuitive center, your third eye, as well as the hips, because the hips are oftentimes a storage place for our emotions. So with all of that said, all I'm using today for practice is my mat and one block, and you can go ahead and start to make your way into tadpole, which is extended child's pose. So you'll lean over to one hip, come through a tabletop pose, and then you'll widen your knees a comfortable distance apart, big toes touch one another, send your hips back towards your heels, and then start to reach your arms forward, melt your forehead down to your mat, tadpole. Right away when you get here, soften your eyes down or at least close your eyes. And start to feel the movement of your breath in your body. Feel the pressure of your forehead on your mat. If your head is not able to rest down in this position, I invite you to stack your forearms or your fists and rest your head down on that stack. And feel some weight drop back into your hips. Let your pelvis be heavy. So like I said, for our practice, I really want us to try to quiet the mind today. Let go of memories. Let go of anticipating what might happen in the future. Quiet down the creation of new thoughts. And be open to receiving. If you feel the need to anchor yourself, you can do that through either a breath count, breathing in for 4 or 5, and trying to exhale twice that amount. You could also do it through just a question. Maybe asking yourself, what is my highest intention for the next astrological year? If that feels a little bit too much, you can say the next 4 weeks, the next moon cycle. Take another breath in here. Exhale. Next breath in, lift your head, looking forward. Exhale, shift forward into your tabletop pose again. Feel that release in your hips. Walk your knees back underneath your hips. It might feel nice to tuck one set of toes under and press back through that heel. And then you can switch sides. Just straightening out the knees. Next, we'll move into our swan pose. So I said I only have one block, but if you do have access to other props, it can be nice to bring them nearby for this next pose. We're going to slide the left knee behind the left wrist, point your toes over towards the right side of your mat, and then you're going to walk your right knee back until you're feeling a nice bit of sensation in the outside of your left hip and glute. Your hips do not need to touch the mat. That's where I would bring in another bolster or pillow or blanket so that you have something to rest down on. But if you don't have that, just try to let your hips soften as best as you can. And then today, I'm going to bring my forearms down. I'm going to take the block and I'm going to put it underneath my rib cage, and then I'm going to stack my hands and rest my head, onto my hands. And so this is just the most comfortable way for me to be in this posture for the extended period of time that's common in a yin pose. But if you prefer to stay up on your forearms or on your hands, please set yourself up in the way that feels the most supportive to you. I do want to encourage you to have something underneath your forehead so that you can continue to stimulate that third eye center. The third eye is associated with the pineal gland, with our long-term intuitive vision, the inner sight. Another way that your intuition might speak to you today is through images. What do you see in your mind's eye? One more breath in and exhale. Begin to press into your hands. Lift yourself away from your mat. And then let's heel toe that right foot, right knee back in. And slide the left knee back. Again, you might like to tuck those left toes under now and press back through the heel. Or you could even take it into a brief downward dog, or just wiggle the hips in any way that feels good after that really big hip opener. And then we'll set up for the next side. So sliding your right knee behind your right wrist when you're ready, no rush. Toes can point towards the left, and then heel toe, left knee back. Again, find some sense of settling in your hips. So it doesn't necessarily need to feel easy. In fact, I encourage you to challenge yourself a little bit in your yin practice. But then you want to find some sense of ease so that you can maybe lower down to forearms. Again, I'm going to have the block underneath the ribs, and I'll rest my head down onto my hands, continuing to connect with the third eye. Imagine that you could breathe into the space that you feel this the most. And every breath is helping that part of you to find more space, more softness. Another breath in here. Exhale. Press into your hands. Lift your head. Walk your hands in. Walk the left knee in. And then slide your right knee back. Once again, it might feel nice to tuck the right toes under. Press back through the right heel. You could go into downward dog if that sounds like a nice move, or you can just wiggle your hips. Feel the release. From here, we're going to make our way down to the belly for Sphinx pose. And so I'm going to move my block towards the top of the mat. Walk your knees back a little bit, roll down onto your belly, and slide your elbows underneath your shoulders. So I want us to take care that we're not fanning the elbows out. Also, the elbows aren't going back. It's going to be very difficult to sustain this position. You want to prop yourself up on your elbows and your forearms. So that might even mean they go a little bit forward ahead of the shoulders. And then soften into the support of your arms. Let your shoulder blades kind of come towards one another behind your heart. They can even creep up towards your neck slightly. And as you let your head be heavy, you don't have to do this, but if we're still trying to get that focus on the third eye, you could rest your forehead down onto a block. Soften through your glutes. And focus on the breath awareness in your low belly, feeling your belly expand into the mat. And feeling everything soften on the breath out. The gut is also a very powerful intuitive center. Notice if it has any messages for you today. Take another breath in your Sphinx pose. Exhale. Start to move your block if you had set it underneath your forehead. Let's fan the elbows out and stack the palms or the forearms and just rest your head down on that stack in the way that's the most comfortable to you. Just take a moment to feel that release in your shoulders, your low back. And then we'll slide our hands underneath the shoulders, press down, roll up, back into table. And from here, let's make our way around into a seat. So you can just swing your legs over to one side. Legs come out in front of you as your sits bones ground down to the mat. If you notice that it's kind of difficult for yourself to sit up nice and tall here, if you have a blanket nearby, you can just roll that up and set it underneath your seat. It will make things a little bit more accessible. And then we're going to move into a variation of butterfly called star pose. So soles of the feet together, knees away from each other, and the heels are going away from the groin rather than coming in close, so that you have like a wide diamond shape happening. And then I'm going to reach for my block. I like to use the block again under the forehead in this pose. You can have it on any height level. You can even set it between the feet if that's more comfortable for you. I just like to set it on top of my feet. And then you can either lean forward, let the spine round naturally, let your forehead come onto those blocks with your forearms resting on tops of your shins or ahead of your shins. Or you can take the variation where the forearms thread underneath the calves, palms face up as a gesture of receiving. And then let gravity do the rest of the work for you. Come back to your breath rhythm anytime you notice creating thoughts in your mind. We are creating an open channel to receive messages from our intuition, from our higher selves, or the highest self, if you're familiar with that concept in yoga philosophy. That energy that connects all of us, that purity that is within all of us. Take another breath in and out. Start to unthread your arms. Press into your hands to slowly come up away from the mat. Super gentle with that deep back bend, or deep forward bend, excuse me. Move your block if you were using it. Use your hands underneath your thighs to help close your legs like a book, and we'll come down onto our back for our last couple of poses before we take rest. Roll all the way down. Make sure that that block is still and arms reach away from you. But then take a pause when you arrive on your back and feel your back muscles, your spine muscles soften into the support here. Notice how it feels to have your hips in a neutral position. And we'll move into a supported bridge. We'll press into the feet, lift the hips, grab that block, bring it underneath your pelvis, your sacrum, on its lowest setting. If you have 2 blocks, even better. Put both of them side by side underneath your sacrum. So we have a nice wide base here. And this may feel like it is plenty of sensation for you today. In that case, you're going to stay right here. Or if you wanted a little bit more sensation, you could explore extending your legs. Just make sure that doesn't create any pinching in your low back. It's a little bit too much for me, so I'm going to stay right here with my feet grounded. But just know you have the option to extend your legs. Allow for your arms and your hands to rest wherever's comfortable. Return to your breath. Return to receiving those intuitive messages. For the last little bit of this posture, you can stay as you are if you're feeling like that's where you want to be, or if your legs are extended, start to slide the feet in, and then we'll all bring the knees in towards the body and extend the feet towards the sky for waterfall. Just the last little bit here, letting the blood flow the opposite way. You might use your mind's eye, use your imagination to imagine all of the blessings, all of the wildest dreams that you can conjure up pouring into you through the soles of your feet, like a waterfall running down the legs, past the hips, the pelvis, the belly, into your heart space. Just imagining it pooling in the heart space, filling yourself up with that intention. One more breath in. And as you exhale, if you took this waterfall pose, you're going to start to bend your knees in again. Return one foot to the mat at a time. pause in supported bridge so that you can let your body recalibrate. And then use a breath in, lift your hips, hands come to the block so you can move it out of the way. And lower your hips down to a flat back. Feel that release. If there's any other movements or postures that you think would feel good, you're welcome to take time for that now. But start to set yourself up in your Shavasana whenever the time feels right for you. Please do not skip out on this time. Even if you're in a rush, try to stay here for at least 1 minute. This is the ultimate pose of surrender and receiving messages from your intuition, spirit, God, the highest self. You'll hear my voice when it's time to come back. Enjoy your rest. Remaining just as you are, start to bring your awareness back to your breath. Feel the way that your breath is moving your body. Allow for that movement to inspire you to start wiggling your fingers and your toes, your wrists and your ankles, maybe nodding your head side to side. Eventually that could expand into a big full body stretch. Breathe in to stretch long. And breathe out, let it all go. In your own time, roll yourself to whichever side is most comfortable to you and meet me in a nice, comfortable seated position. No hurry. As you arrive, sit up nice and tall. Relax your shoulders away from your neck. One more moment here to acknowledge any messages that have come through from your intuition today. And to observe how this practice has impacted you in your body, your mind, and your energy. Whenever you feel ready, bring your palms together in front of your heart space, Anjali Mudra, closing with the chant of Om 1 time. Wherever you are with your breath, empty out your lungs. Take a breath in at the bottom. Exhale to chant Om. Thank you all so much for sharing your practice with me today. Thank you for allowing me to guide you. I hope this practice has served you well. Please leave me a comment down below letting me know what intuitive messages or intentions came up for you in this practice. What is your intention for the next moon cycle or for the next astrological year? And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I put out new classes every single Sunday and sometimes an extra one in the middle of the week just because. So I hope we can practice together again very, very soon. And until then, namaste.